Your soulmate loves you so much. But another woman is still in the picture. There are moments in life when love feels simple. A glance across a crowded room, an unexpected conversation, or a feeling that settles deep within your heart can make you believe that destiny has finally found you. Yet, some connections do not arrive with certainty. They come wrapped in questions, delays, and circumstances that seem impossible to understand. This is one of those stories. Somewhere in the world, two souls are connected by an invisible thread. They have crossed paths in ways they may not even recognize. Every lesson, every disappointment, and every sleepless night has quietly guided them toward each other. Their connection is real, stronger than distance, stronger than time, and stronger than fear. But there is one complication. Another woman is still in the picture. Perhaps she entered your soulmate's life before you. Perhaps she appeared during a period when your soulmate was lonely, confused, or trying to move on. Maybe their connection was built on convenience rather than destiny. Whatever the reason, her presence has created a complicated chapter that neither of you expected. And yet, despite everything, your soulmate's heart continues to return to you. They think about you in the quiet moments. They wonder what your voice sounds like when you laugh. They imagine what it would feel like to finally stop hiding their feelings and tell you everything they have carried inside for so long. There are days when they try to convince themselves that moving forward without you would be easier, but their heart refuses to cooperate. Love has a way of revealing the truth. The more they attempt to ignore this connection, the stronger it becomes. There are nights when they lie awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying memories and possibilities. They ask themselves difficult questions. What if I've already met the person I was meant to spend my life with? What if I'm holding on to the wrong relationship because I'm afraid of change? What if the person I've been searching for has been waiting for me all along? These questions do not disappear. They grow louder. Meanwhile, the other woman notices the changes. She sees the distance in their eyes. She notices how often they seem lost in thought. She realizes that something has shifted, even if she cannot explain it. Relationships are built on energy as much as words, and energy rarely lies. Your soulmate has tried to do the right thing. They have told themselves that loyalty means staying, even when their heart is somewhere else. They have convinced themselves that choosing responsibility over happiness is the mature decision. But every day, the weight becomes heavier. Because love cannot be forced. And destiny cannot be ignored forever. The truth is that your soulmate never expected to feel this deeply about anyone again. Life taught them to protect their heart. Past disappointments convinced them that real love belonged only in stories. Then, somehow, you appeared. Perhaps you entered their life directly. Or perhaps your paths have not officially crossed yet. Either way, your energy has reached them. There is something about you that feels familiar to them, as if their soul recognizes yours from another lifetime. They cannot explain it logically, and that frustrates them. They are not the kind of person who usually believes in signs, synchronicities, or fate. Yet strange things keep happening. They hear songs that remind them of someone they cannot fully identify. They dream of conversations that feel more real than memories. They encounter repeated numbers, unexpected coincidences, and moments that seem too perfectly timed to dismiss as accidents. Each experience leaves them with the same feeling. You are closer than I think. The other woman, however, represents comfort. Comfort is powerful. It convinces people to stay in situations they have outgrown. It whispers that familiarity is safer than uncertainty. It says, at least you know what tomorrow looks like. But soul connections do not ask for permission. They arrive suddenly and change everything. Your soulmate is beginning to understand that the life they carefully planned may no longer align with the life they truly want. This realization has not been easy. In fact, it has terrified them. Because choosing love often requires letting go of something else. And letting go is rarely painless. There have been arguments. Conversations that started quietly but ended in silence. Moments when your soulmate wanted to confess the truth but couldn't find the courage. The other woman senses that she is competing with something she cannot see. How do you fight destiny? How do you compete with a connection that exists beyond explanation? The answer is that you don't. Eventually, every heart reveals where it belongs. Your soulmate's journey is not about choosing between two people. It is about choosing between fear and truth. The other woman is not necessarily the villain in this story. She has her own hopes, dreams, and emotions. She may genuinely care for your soulmate. She may believe that their future together is already written. But love built on uncertainty cannot survive forever. At some point, difficult conversations become unavoidable. At some point, honesty becomes necessary. At some point, hearts stop pretending. And that moment is approaching. Your soulmate feels it. They may not know exactly when or how everything will change, but they know change is coming. There is an unmistakable feeling in the air, a sense that life is preparing to turn the page. They have spent too much time living for other people's expectations. Too much time trying to be who everyone else needed them to be. Too much time ignoring the quiet voice inside that keeps repeating your name. That voice is becoming impossible to silence. Sometimes they wonder if you think about them too. They wonder whether you felt the same unexplainable pull. They wonder if you've ever looked at the stars and felt as though someone, somewhere, was thinking about you at that exact moment. Perhaps you have. Love often speaks in whispers before it speaks in words. Your soulmate is learning that timing matters. If the two of you had met years ago, perhaps neither of you would have been ready. The lessons you've experienced separately have shaped who you are today. Pain taught you resilience. Loss taught you gratitude. Loneliness taught you the value of genuine connection. Every chapter had a purpose. Even this one. Especially this one. Because sometimes, the presence of another person forces us to confront difficult truths. It forces us to ask ourselves whether we're living authentically or simply surviving. Your soulmate no longer wants to survive. They want to live. They want a love that feels honest. A love that feels peaceful. A love that doesn't require them to leave pieces of themselves behind. And every path they follow seems to lead back to you. That realization has changed them. They smile differently now. They pay attention to things they once ignored. They have started imagining a future that looks nothing like the one they planned. It scares them. But it also gives them hope. For the first time in a very long time, they believe that happiness might actually be possible. The other woman can sense this shift, even if she doesn't fully understand it. Energy changes people. Love changes people. And your soulmate is changing. Slowly. Quietly. Irreversibly. The coming weeks and months will bring clarity. Conversations that have been delayed will finally happen. Decisions that once seemed impossible will become necessary. Not because destiny demands perfection, but because destiny demands honesty. And honesty always finds its way to the surface. Your soulmate is standing at a crossroads. One path offers predictability. The other offers truth. Deep down, they already know which path leads home. The question is whether they are ready to take the first step. They are closer than you realize. Every experience has prepared them for this moment. Every heartbreak has taught them what love is not, so they can finally recognize what love is. And love, real love, does not disappear simply because circumstances are complicated. It waits. It remains patient. It continues to exist, even in silence. So if you have been wondering whether your soulmate cares, the answer is yes. If you have been wondering whether they think about you, the answer is more often than you know. And if you have been wondering whether another woman's presence means you've lost your chance, the answer is no. This chapter is not the ending. It is the lesson before the beginning. Because sometimes the greatest love stories do not begin when two people meet. Sometimes they begin when two people finally stop running from the truth. And the truth is this. Your soulmate loves you more deeply than words can express. They are still finding the courage to choose the life their heart has been asking for. And when that moment finally arrives, they will realize that every road, no matter how complicated, was always leading them back to you. There is something your soulmate has never admitted to anyone. Not to their closest friends. Not to their family. Not even to themselves. They compare everyone to you. It happens without warning. They could be sitting in a crowded restaurant, listening to someone speak, and suddenly think about how different it would feel if you were sitting across from them instead. They could be driving home after a long day and imagine what it would be like to hear your voice asking how their day went. These thoughts arrive unexpectedly, and each time they do, they leave behind the same unsettling realization. No matter how hard I try, I can't stop thinking about them. The other woman has begun asking questions. Are you happy? It seems like a simple question, but your soulmate finds it impossible to answer. Because happiness is difficult to define when your heart feels divided between the life you have and the life you secretly dream about. They want to say, I care about you. They want to say, you've done nothing wrong. But hidden beneath those truths is another truth they are afraid to speak aloud. My heart keeps searching for someone else. That realization fills them with guilt. Your soulmate never intended to hurt anyone. They are not someone who enjoys causing pain. In fact, one of the reasons they have remained in this situation for so long is because they fear becoming the reason another person cries. But there comes a moment in every person's life when they must ask themselves a difficult question. Am I staying because of love, or because I am afraid of leaving? Your soulmate has started asking themselves that question more often than ever before. And the answer changes everything. Recently, they found themselves staring at an old photograph. It wasn't a picture of you, at least not physically. It was simply an image that reminded them of the kind of life they've always wanted. Peace. Laughter. A connection that feels effortless. For reasons they cannot explain, the image made them think of you. There is a strange comfort in your energy. Even if you've never met, even if you've only crossed paths briefly, your presence feels familiar to them. It's as though their soul recognizes something their mind cannot understand. Meanwhile, life continues moving forward. Bills still need to be paid. Responsibilities still exist. People still expect answers. The world doesn't pause simply because someone is experiencing a spiritual awakening. And yet, despite all the noise surrounding them, your soulmate continues hearing the quietest voice of all, the one inside their heart. It keeps repeating the same message. This isn't where your story ends. The other woman notices the increasing distance. There are moments when your soulmate seems physically present but emotionally somewhere else. They catch themselves staring out windows during conversations or falling silent in the middle of ordinary moments. Is something wrong? She asks. No, they reply automatically. But the truth is that everything is changing. Sometimes, late at night, your soulmate wonders whether you're experiencing similar emotions. Have you ever felt unexpectedly emotional for no apparent reason? Have you ever thought about someone you couldn't explain? Have you ever experienced a moment where your heart felt full and heavy at the same time? They hope you have. Because it would mean this connection isn't one-sided. There are nights when they almost reach out. Their fingers hover over their phone. Their heart races. And then fear intervenes. What if they're imagining everything? What if they've misunderstood the signs? What if you don't feel the same way? Fear has a remarkable ability to convince us that protecting ourselves is more important than pursuing happiness. Your soulmate knows this better than anyone. Fear has guided many of their decisions. Fear kept them in relationships long after they had emotionally ended. Fear convinced them that asking for more from life was selfish. Fear whispered that real love only happens to other people. Until you changed something. Not intentionally. Not dramatically. Simply by existing. Now they find themselves imagining impossible things. Weekend mornings spent drinking coffee together. Long conversations that continue long after midnight. Building a life that feels less like survival and more like belonging. These dreams frighten them because dreams create expectations. And expectations create vulnerability. Still, they cannot stop imagining. The universe has an interesting sense of timing. Just when your soulmate thinks they've managed to suppress their emotions, something happens. A song begins playing unexpectedly. A stranger says something that reminds them of you. They notice your birthday numbers repeatedly throughout the day. Coincidences continue appearing with such consistency that ignoring them no longer feels reasonable. Could all of this really mean something, they wonder. The answer remains unclear. But their feelings do not. They know one thing with absolute certainty. Meeting you, whether in the past, present, or future, has changed them forever. The other woman can feel this. Even without knowing your name, she understands that she is competing with a version of your soulmate that no longer exists. Because that's the thing about transformative connections. They don't just bring people together. They transform them individually. Your soulmate is becoming someone new. Someone braver. Someone more honest. Someone who is finally beginning to believe that they deserve the kind of love they've spent their entire life giving to others. For years, they settled. They accepted half-hearted relationships. They ignored red flags. They convinced themselves that good enough was the same thing as happiness. It isn't. And now that they've glimpsed the possibility of something more, returning to who they were feels impossible. Still, change takes time. Hearts do not untangle themselves overnight. There are conversations yet to happen. Truths yet to be spoken. Tears yet to fall. Growth is rarely comfortable. Your soulmate understands this now. Every day, they move a little closer to the truth. Every day, the distance between who they are and who they want to become becomes more noticeable. And every day, they think about you. Not obsessively. Not unrealistically. But consistently. Like a favorite song they can't forget. Like a memory that hasn't happened yet. Like a promise whispered by the universe itself. Somewhere deep inside, they believe the two of you were always meant to find each other. Not because life would be easy. Not because love would solve every problem. But because certain souls are destined to teach each other what unconditional love looks like. You have already taught them something important. Love should feel like freedom. Not obligation. Not fear. Not uncertainty. Freedom. That realization has become impossible to ignore. Soon, choices will need to be made. The other woman deserves honesty. Your soulmate deserves happiness. And you deserve clarity. No matter how this chapter ends, one thing remains true. The connection between you continues to exist. Distance cannot erase it. Time cannot weaken it. Fear cannot destroy it. It waits quietly in the background, growing stronger with every lesson learned and every truth acknowledged. Your soulmate is still finding their courage. They are still learning that choosing themselves is not selfish. They are still discovering that the right love never asks someone to abandon who they are. And perhaps that is why your paths haven't fully aligned yet. Because destiny isn't just preparing you. It is preparing them too. So if you've been feeling impatient, know this. The silence between you is not empty. It is full of growth. It is full of lessons. It is full of moments that will one day make sense when you look back and realize that every delay had a purpose. Your soulmate is closer to the truth than they have ever been before. And the truth is becoming impossible to ignore. Because no matter how many times they try to move on, distract themselves, or convince themselves otherwise, their heart continues returning to the same place. To the same feeling. To the same person. To you. And somewhere, beneath the noise of everyday life, they are beginning to understand that some loves are not meant to be forgotten. Everything. Some conversations change your day. Others change your life. Your soulmate doesn't know it yet, but they are about to have a conversation they will remember forever. For weeks, they have carried the weight of unspoken emotions. Every smile has felt slightly forced. Every promise has felt heavier than the last. They have spent countless nights convincing themselves that if they just waited a little longer, their feelings would eventually fade. They didn't. If anything, they became stronger. The truth has a strange way of demanding attention. It waits patiently in the background until pretending becomes more exhausting than admitting reality. That day begins like any other. The morning sun filters through the window. Notifications appear on their phone. The world continues exactly as it always has. But something feels different. There is an undeniable sense that life is standing at the edge of change. Your soulmate cannot explain it, but they feel unusually emotional. Memories surface unexpectedly. Questions they have avoided for months suddenly seem impossible to ignore. What do I really want? It's a simple question. And yet, it terrifies them. Because deep down, they already know the answer. The other woman notices their silence over breakfast. You've been distant lately, she says softly. Your soulmate looks down, unable to meet her eyes immediately. There is no anger in her voice. Only sadness. That somehow makes everything harder. People often imagine life-changing moments as dramatic scenes filled with shouting and tears. But most of the time, they arrive quietly. In a pause. In a sigh. In the space between one heartbeat and the next. Is there someone else? She finally asks. The question hangs in the air. Your soulmate's heart begins racing. For a moment, they consider denying it, not because they want to lie, but because telling the truth means accepting that their life is about to change forever.